Hi, I forgot to plug my microphone in. I'm sorry. Okay, now the microphone's plugged in. Hopefully the sound is good. Got a bit of lag here. Whoops. Just had to push a toilet paper roll out of the way so you don't realize that I'm not a fancy lady who uses tissues to blow the nose. Oh, tissue. Special tissues just for the face. So that's pretty cool. I can't remember when I did the last one. I think it was a few days ago. Could have been a week ago. But yes, I've started new treatment and it is difficult at the moment. So here is the recap. Yeah, Nellie is faking being sick. Hey, John. Nellie's faking being sick because she wants to give young Kathy heaps of time to run around with Linton. It's real. I don't think we really need a recap because you were here last time. And it was so dramatic with Hirschen being like, "Oh, young Kathy, guess what? I can read my name now." And she was like, "Oh, can you read the numbers?" And he's like, "No." And she's like, "Peasant." And then later on when she's leaving, he tries to like say sorry and she hits him with her whip because she thinks he's gonna kill her. Oh man. Young Kathy. We were all rooting for you. So yeah. Young Kathy is making the classic mistake of he's such a dickhead when he's pissed off, but hi Nick, good to see you. Well, I can't see you, but you know what I mean. So yeah, young Kathy has met Linton Heathcliff's son with Isabella Linton, and he's a piece of shit, but she's like, he's so lovely to me when he's not upset. So if I just make sure that nobody ever upsets him, he'll be lovely all the time. Which, as we know, is terrible and does not work. Excuse me. We're still trying to settle on a dose because the oral ketamine works differently than when it's injected straight into the muscle. So still trying to figure that out. Sorry about that. I was putting on a dress and didn't realize that it was quite dusty. So all the dust went into my face. And then I punched myself in the nose trying to pull the dress on. And then I got pretty mad. So here we are. Got Hermione here. It's not looking great. Like the opposite of Hermione. And I have got some very beautiful eyeshadow on. Make my eyes look like beetles. Iridescent beetles. Well, I like it. I find it exciting. Thank you. So yes, the new dose of ketamine worked for, fairly well for about a day and a half. And then it was Danny. Danny's here. I'm so happy. So, at the moment, young Kathy and Linton Heathcliff have been bonding by bullying their mutual cousin, Hareton Earnshaw. They're kids. They're such fucked up, awful kids. Sorry about the sniffling. It's a whole thing. So young Kathy has just told Nellie all about how she goes to Wuthering Heights secretly and she meets up with Linton and they bully Hareton and have a lovely time. They've been making love. Yes, they have. Indeed. And Heathcliff's like, "I fucking hate you." And she's like, "Oh, uncle, you cannot be cross with me, for you are my uncle." And he's like, "Fuck off. I don't give a fuck." So he's, at least honest. So young Kathy's confessed everything to Nellie. She's like, "Look, you got to help me go to Wuthering Heights because I'm going to go there anyway. And my dad's really sick, so if we tell him, he'll like die or something." And Nellie's like, "Yeah, I'll think it over." And immediately she says, "I thought it over aloud in my master's presence, walking straight from her room to his and relating the whole story." So Nellie's a snitch, although she should be. Um, young Kathy is very upset with Nellie, but her father says that Linton is welcome at Thrushcross Grange anytime he likes, but Kathy cannot go to Wuthering Heights. And I'm just going to find my lip balm because I forgot that. Oh, it's been a hell of a week. My goodness. There we go. At least I have new eyeshadow. I really, really, really like it. It's a lot prettier than it looks even here. It's prismatic. So it changes color all the time, and it's blue and green and purple, and it's fantastic. Looks like a wizard made it. So we're probably good to start. I've basically summed up the last chapter. I'm waiting on the warehouse to send me a parcel of, items from the warehouse. Thank you! It looks so much better in real life. I can't wait till you can see it. But yeah, I'm waiting on I'm getting some things from the warehouse, and one of them is like a desk lamp that I can use to shoot light into the diffuser so you can see me more better. Oh, psychosis. That's not good. I thought I had a crappy week. Are you serious, or just sort of speaking figuratively? Because either way, that sucks. I'm so sorry. I met a rabbit yesterday, so to every cloud there's a silver lining. Oh, you're mad. Okay, good. Yeah, me too. We're all mad here. Well, I hope that you're same. I hope that you're getting help, even though that is an incredibly laughable concept in this country. We poured so much money into that campaign saying that it's okay to ask for help, and pretty much none into the help that's there. But you're allowed to ask. Ask away. Oh, it's just the washing machine. Okay. So, shall we begin the next chapter? It ends with Nellie telling Mr. Lockwood about how Edgar Linton. Oh yeah, you can ask, and then they can say, "Oh shit, everybody's busy right now, and also we don't really want to give you medicine, and we can't give you a bed anywhere." And thanks for asking though. It's so important that the stigma is gone. Bye. I've been to EPS a few times, emergency psych services, and I've never gotten anything more helpful than a box of tissues. But don't let that put anybody off seeking help for mental illness. Better to seek help and not get it than to not seek it, I think. You might be one of the lucky ones. You might get some help. Anyway, yeah, on that incredibly depressing note, let's dive back into the misty moors of Yorkshire or wherever in Wuthering Heights, chapter 25. These things happened last winter, sir, said Mrs. Dean, hardly more than a year ago. So we've brought the story right up to the present. All this is happening in 1800, young Kathy and Linton and Hareton and everything. Last winter, I did not think at another 12 months' end I should be amusing a stranger to the family with relating them. Yet who knows how long you'll be a stranger? You're too young to rest always contented living by yourself, and I some way fancy no one could see Catherine Linton and not love her. Absolutely, it is. Um, See, there's Nellie scheming again. She wants young Kathy to marry Mr. Lockwood. You smile, but why do you look so lively and interested when I talk about her? And why have you asked me to hang her picture over your fireplace? And why— Stop, my good friend, I cried. It may be very possible that I should love her, but would she love me? I doubt it too much to venture my tranquillity by running into temptation. And then, my home is not here. I'm of the busy world, and to its arms I must return. He's such a fucker. Go on, was Catherine obedient to her father's commands? She was, continued the housekeeper. Her affection for him was still the chief sentiment in her heart, and he spoke without anger. Yeah, yeah. Why'd you move that picture of young Kathy into your room then? Hey? Hey? What do you do with it? Stop, my good friend. She knows. Um, he spoke without anger. He spoke in the deep tenderness of one about to leave his treasure amid perils and foes, where his remembered words would be the only aid that he could bequeath to guide her. He said to me a few days afterwards, I wish my nephew would write, Ellen, or call. Tell me sincerely what you think of him. Is he changed for the better, or is there a prospect of improvement as he grows a man? He's very delicate, sir, I replied, and scarcely likely to reach manhood. But this I can say, he does not resemble his father, and if Miss Catherine had the misfortune to marry him, he would not be beyond her control, unless she were extremely and foolishly indulgent. However, master, you'll have plenty of time to get acquainted with him and see whether he would suit her. It wants 4 years and more to his being of age. Yeah, yeah. If Kathy's not an idiot, she'll be able to control him. She'll manage him. But she is an idiot. Oh dear. Edgar sighed and, walking to the window, looked out towards Gimmerton Kirk, which means church. It was a misty afternoon, but the February sun shone dimly, and we could just distinguish the 2 fir trees in the yard and the sparsely scattered gravestones. I've prayed often, he half soliloquized, for the approach of what is coming, and now I begin to shrink and fear it. I thought the memory of the hour I came down that glen a bridegroom would be less sweet than the anticipation that I was soon, in a few months, or possibly weeks, to be carried up and laid in its lonely hollow. Ellen, I've been very happy with my little Kathy. Through winter nights and summer days, she was a living hope at my side. But I've been as happy musing by myself among those stones under that old church, lying through the long June evenings on the green mound of her mother's grave, and wishing, yearning for the time when I might lie beneath it. What can I do for Kathy? How must I quit her? I'd not care one moment for Linton being Heathcliff's son, nor for his taking her from me, if he could console her for my loss. I'd not care that Heathcliff gained his ends and triumphed in robbing me of my last blessing. But should Linton be unworthy, only a feeble tool to his father, I cannot abandon her to him. and hard though it be to crush her buoyant spirit, I must persevere in making her sad while I live, and leaving her solitary when I die. Darling, I'd rather resign her to God and lay her in the earth before me. Edgar is taking this time to be very dramatic. Excuse me. Early I used to go and lie on her mother's grave in the June evenings. I'm not mental. And now I almost wish that my kid would die, just so that I'd know that she'd be sorted and kind of not hanging out with Heathcliff. Ideally. But just kidding. Oh, Edgar. Edgar is like, he would be dramatic enough in a book about normal people, but in Wuthering Heights, he's got no hope. None at all. He's a drama baby. Resign her to God as it is, sir, I answered. And if we should lose you, which may he forbid, under his providence, I'll stand her friend and counsellor to the last. Yay. Melodramatic bitching sessions, yes. There's nothing melodramatic about lying on your wife's grave during a pleasant June evening. That's not enough. I mean, Heathcliff's running around, he's seeing ghosts, he's freaking out. He's catching babies and bashing his head on trees, and you can't compete. Miss Catherine is a good girl. I don't fear that she will go willfully wrong, and people who do their duty are always finally rewarded. Is she being ironic? Spring advanced, yet my master gathered no real strength, though he resumed his walks in the grounds with his daughter. To her inexperienced notions, this itself was a sign of convalescence. And then his cheek was often flushed, and his eyes were bright. She felt sure of his recovering. On her 17th birthday, he did not visit the churchyard. It was raining, and I observed, "You'll surely not go out tonight, sir?" He answered, "No, I'll defer it this year a little longer." He wrote again to Linton, expressing his great desire to see him, and had the invalid been presentable, I've no doubt his father would have permitted him to come. As it was, being instructed, he returned an answer, intimating that Mr. Heathcliff had objected to his calling at the Grange, but his uncle's kind remembrance delighted him, and he hoped to meet him sometimes in his rambles, and personally to petition that his cousin and he might not remain long so utterly divided. That part of his letter was simple, and probably his own. Heathcliff knew he could plead eloquently for Catherine's company then. It's so gross that Linton and Heathcliff write their love letters to Cathy together, just to make sure. So gross. I do not ask, he said, that she may visit here, but am I never to see her because my father forbids me to go to her home, and you forbid her to come to mine? Do, now and then, ride with her towards the heights, and let us exchange a few words in your presence. We have done nothing to deserve this separation, and you are not angry with me. You have no reason to dislike me, you allow yourself. Dear uncle, send me a kind note tomorrow, and leave to join you anywhere you please, except at Thrushcross Grange. I believe an interview would convince you that my father's character is not mine. He affirms that I am more your nephew than his son, and though I have faults which render me unworthy of Catherine, she has excused them, and for her sake you should also. You inquire after my health. It is better, but while I remain cut off from all hope and doomed to solitude, or the society of those who never did and never will like me, how can I be cheerful and well? Oh, Linton. Is Heathcliff kind of trying to kill Edgar here by being like, oh yeah, you should go outside more often, you should walk way close to Wuthering Heights? Linton's not out there rambling on the moor. You are not going to run into him. He's out there making a heroic effort not to die between the living room and his bedroom, whether he's actually dying or not. I mean, he is actually dying, but he's really playing it out. Edgar, though he felt for the boy, could not consent to grant his request, because he could not accompany Catherine. He said in summer, perhaps, they might meet. Meantime, he wished him to continue writing at intervals and engaged to give him what advice and comfort he was able by letter, being well aware of his hard position in his family. Linton complied, and had he been unrestrained, would probably have spoiled all by filling his epistles with complaints and lamentations. But his father kept a sharp watch over him, and of course insisted on every line that my master sent being shown. So instead of penning his peculiar personal sufferings and distresses, the themes constantly uppermost in his thoughts, he harped on the cruel obligation of being held asunder from his friend and love, and gently intimated that Mr. Linton must allow an interview soon, or he should fear he was purposely deceiving him with empty promises. Oh, yeah. I mean, he knows Edgar's dying, but nothing wrong with wanting to hurry it up. Cathy was a powerful ally at home, and between them they at length persuaded my master to acquiesce in their having a ride or a walk together about once a week, under my guardianship and on the moors nearest the Grange, but June found him still declining. Though he had set aside yearly a portion of his income for my young lady's fortune, he had a natural desire that she might retain, or at least return in a short time to, the house of her ancestors, and he considered her only prospect of doing that was by a union with his heir. He had no idea that the latter was failing almost as fast as himself, nor had anyone, I believe. No doctor visited the Heights, and no one saw Master Heathcliff to make report of his condition among us. I, for my part, began to fancy my forebodings were false, and that he must be actually rallying, when he mentioned riding and walking on the moors, and seemed so earnest in pursuing his object. I could not picture a father treating a dying child as tyrannically and wickedly as I afterwards learned Heathcliff had treated him, to compel this apparent eagerness. His efforts redoubling, the more imminently his avaricious and unfeeling plans were threatened with defeat by death. That's the end of that chapter, but it was a short one, so we'll have a look at how long the next one is. Bloody hell, Heathcliff. Oh yeah, the next one's really short. Yeah, they must be getting excited. Jesus. Oh, there's another illustration. This is Nellie confronting young Cathy, saying, "Where have you been? Speak!" And she's like, "I've been at Thrushcross. I've been at fucking the other place, Wuthering Heights, visiting my shitty cousin. Where we bullied my other cousin, and it was dope though." Wuthering Heights, chapter 26. Summer was already past its prime when Edgar reluctantly yielded his assent to their entreaties, and Catherine and I set out on our first ride to join her cousin. It was a close, sultry day, devoid of sunshine, but with the sky too dappled and hazy to threaten rain, and our place of meeting had been fixed at the guidestone by the crossroads. On arriving there, however, a little herd boy, dispatched as a messenger, told us that Master Linton was just on this side of the heights, and he'd be much obliged to us to go on a bit further. That is also written in Northern, but I can't do it. Then Master Linton has forgot the first injunction of his uncle, I observed. He bid us keep on the Grange land, and here we are off at once. Well, we'll turn our horses' heads round when we reach him, answered my companion. Our excursion shall lie towards home. But when we reached him, and that was scarcely a quarter of a mile from his own door, we found he had no horse, and we were forced to dismount and leave ours to graze. He lay on the heath, awaiting our approach, and did not rise till we came within a few yards. God, Heathcliff, Jesus. I mean, I don't like Linton, but come on. Then he walked so feebly and looked so pale that I immediately exclaimed, "Why, Master Heathcliff, you are not fit for enjoying a ramble this morning. How ill you do look." Catherine surveyed him with grief and astonishment. She changed the ejaculation of joy on her lips to one of alarm, and the congratulations on their long-postponed meeting to an anxious inquiry whether he was worse than usual. Cult Library? No. At me a link if you're on there, because public domain shit is crazy. It's so good. No, I'm better, he panted, trembling and retaining her hand as if he needed its support, while his large blue eyes wandered timidly over her, the hollowness round them transforming to haggard wildness the languid expression they once possessed. Shame he's getting bullied to death as well. But you have been worse, persisted his cousin. Worse than when I saw you last. You're thinner and... I'm tired, he interrupted hurriedly. It is too hot for walking. Let us rest here. And in the morning I often feel sick. Papa says I grow so fast. Badly satisfied, Kathy sat down, and he reclined beside her. Sorry, but badly satisfied is funny. It is just hashtag just straight woman things. This is something like your paradise, said she, making an effort at cheerfulness. You recollect the 2 days we agreed to spend in the place and way each thought pleasantest. This is nearly yours. Only there are clouds, but then they are so soft and mellow. It is nicer than sunshine. Next week, if you can, we'll ride down to the Grange Park and try mine. That sounds amazing. Women with great hair fleeing Gothic houses. Incredible. Oh, they're like the covers of Pulp Fiction books. That sounds amazing. Linton did not appear to remember what she talked of, and he had evidently great difficulty in sustaining any kind of conversation. His lack of interest in the subjects she started, and his equal incapacity to contribute to her entertainment were so obvious that she could not conceal her disappointment. An indefinite alteration had come over his whole person and manner. The pettishness that might be caressed into fondness had yielded to a listless apathy. There was less of the peevish temper of a child which frets and teases on purpose to be soothed, and more of the self-absorbed moroseness of a confirmed invalid, repelling consolation, and ready to regard the good-humoured mirth of others as an insult. Catherine perceived, as well as I did, that he held it rather a punishment than a gratification to endure our company, and she made no scruple of proposing presently to depart. That proposal, unexpectedly, roused Linton from his lethargy and threw him into a strange state of agitation. He glanced fearfully towards the heights, begging she would remain another half-hour at least. But I think, said Kathy, you'd be more comfortable at home than sitting here. And I cannot amuse you today, I see, by my tales and songs and chatter. You have grown wiser than I in these 6 months. You have little taste for my diversions now. Or else, if I could amuse you, I'd willingly stay. Stay to rest yourself, he replied. And Catherine, don't think or say that I'm very unwell. It is the heavy weather and the heat that make me dull, and I walked about before you came a great deal for me. Tell Uncle I'm in tolerable health, will you? I'll tell him that you say so, Linton. I couldn't affirm that you are, observed my young lady, wondering at his pertinacious assertion of what was evidently an untruth. Oh yeah, earlier, when you weren't here and you couldn't see, I was walking around a bunch. I was so alive, I was thinking, can't wait to live to the average age of a man in this normal time of ours. Just before you got here. And be here again next Thursday, continued he, shunning her puzzled gaze. And give him my thanks for permitting you to come. My best thanks, Catherine. And if you did meet my father and he asked you about me, don't lead him to suppose that I've been extremely silent and stupid. Don't look sad and downcast as you are doing. He'll be angry. I care nothing for his anger, exclaimed Kathy, imagining she would be its object. But I do, said your cousin, shuddering. Don't provoke him against me, Catherine, for he is very hard. Is he severe to you, Master Heathcliff? I inquired. Nelly, you know he is. Has he grown weary of indulgence and passed from passive to active hatred? Linton looked at me but did not answer, and after keeping her seat by his side another 10 minutes, during which his head fell drowsily on her breast, and he uttered nothing except suppressed moans of exhaustion or pain, Cathy began to seek solace in looking for bilberries, and sharing the produce of her researches with me. She did not offer them to him, for she saw further notice would only weary and annoy. Cathy's just not grasping anything that's happening right now. Is it half an hour now, Alan? She whispered in my ear at last. Can't tell why we should stay. He's asleep, and Papa will be wanting us back. Well, we must not leave him asleep, I answered. Wait till he wakes and be patient. You were mighty eager to set off, but your longing to see poor Linton has soon evaporated. Yeah, he sucks now. And also, he's a hostage. Why did he wish to see me? Returned Catherine. In his crossest humours formerly, I liked him better than I do in his present curious mood. It's just as if it were a task he was compelled to perform, this interview, for fear his father should scold him. But I'm hardly going to come to give Mr. Heathcliff pleasure, whatever reason he may have for ordering Linton to undergo this penance. And though I'm glad he's better in health, I'm sorry he's so much less pleasant and so much less affectionate to me. You think he is better in health, then? I said. Yes, she answered, because he always made such a great deal of his sufferings, you know. He is not tolerably well, as he told me to tell Papa, but he's better, very likely. She also hasn't really been around sick people that much. There you differ from me, Miss Cathy, I remarked. I should conjecture him to be far worse. Linton here started from his slumber in bewildered terror, and asked if anyone had called his name. No, said Catherine, unless in dreams. I cannot conceive how you managed to doze out of doors in the morning. I thought I heard my father, he gasped, glancing up to the frowning nab above us. You are sure nobody spoke? Quite sure, replied his cousin. One thing is not stronger. Your regard for me. So speak, are you? Cathy, it's not about you right now. The tears gushed from Linton's eyes as he answered, Yes, yes, I am. And still under the spell of the imaginary voice, his gaze wandered up and down to detect its owner. Cathy rose. For today we must part, she said, and I won't conceal that I have been sadly disappointed with our meeting, though I'll mention it to nobody but you. Not that I stand in awe of Mr. Heathcliff. Hush, murmured Linton. For God's sake, hush. He's coming. And he clung to Catherine's arm, striving to detain her. But at that announcement she hastily disengaged herself and whistled to Minnie, who obeyed her like a dog. Minnie is a horse. It's okay. It's not a person. I'll be here next Thursday, she cried, springing onto the saddle. Goodbye. Quickly, Ellen. And so we left him, scarcely conscious of our departure, so absorbed was he in anticipating his father's approach. Before we reached home, Catherine's displeasure softened into a perplexed sensation of pity and regret, largely blended with vague, uneasy doubts about Linton's actual circumstances, physical and social, in which I partook, though I counselled her not to say much, for a second journey would make us better judges. My master requested an account of our ongoings. His nephew's offering of thanks was duly delivered, Miss Cathy gently touching on the rest. I also threw little light on his inquiries, for I hardly knew what to hide and what to reveal. That is the end of the chapter, and a very revealing statement from Nellie. It shows that, usually when she talks to people, she knows what to hide and what to reveal. But in this case, not sure. Not sure, really. No, that was also a short one, but yeah, the next one isn't, I don't think. And, it's been it's been a bit of a crappy week for me. So, I'm probably gonna call it there just for today. Tomorrow's Saturday, so I will have a D&D game, and then Sunday will be Wuthering Heights again, and Monday. And then fingers crossed for the increased ketamine dose on Tuesday at the clinic. So yes, things are very sad for Linton Heathcliff. He was never a fun dude to be around, but now he's really being abused by Heathcliff and not very nice. Um, yeah, that sucks. I'm really happy you were here, Nick, and I really hope that you're getting, some form of help, support, that you have support people, things like that, because really we have to look after each other, mentaloids in this country. But I'm really happy you guys are all here today. Thank you very much, and I will see you not tomorrow, but on Sunday. Okay. Wash your hands. Be safe. I'm in Dunedin, so there's just the one. Oh, it's at the proper hospital, at the big hospital place. And yes, Danny and John, I will see you tomorrow at D&D. Hooray. Bye. I'm an angel. Stay safe.